All right. Welcome back, guys. NFS is back, giving you our draft recap show from the NFL draft Thursday. There's definitely some interesting things that happened in the draft. A lot of unexpected choices, a lot of trades and stuff like that. So we're kind of going to be breaking it down and giving you our winners and losers, our best picks, our best scenarios, where guys ended up, and how that's going to affect the dynasty season going forward. So where do you guys want to start? You guys want to go with your winners?
All you guys
Maybe
go
we could
first.
since we just kind of talked about our top five last time, we could just go through maybe top five players at each position. Kind of give a little short reflect on everything that happened with them. So.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, so do you want to start with the quarterbacks since they kind of like kicked off the first round?
Yeah. Obviously, as if you watched the NFL draft, you would have seen the first overall pick by the Cincinnati Bengals. The pick was obviously Joe Burrow, who here lifts up the entire offense there. The team as a whole in general, he's a guy that will come in. And with the 101, you're obviously picking a guy who you think is the franchise now. They cut Andy Dalton, so he's obviously going to re-sign somewhere else. But, yeah, Joe Burrow's a guy who can come in, step into the group of receivers that they had already, and some receivers that we will get into later. But, yeah.
Yeah, so the second quarterback taken was obviously Tua Tagovailoa. Of course, that's always a name that I don't know if I'm actually pronouncing right or not, but I think I was pretty. So yeah, Tua did end up going to Miami. Like there was some questions about where he'd end up, whether the Giants would even take him, whether the Jags would try to move up, or even the Chargers. But he did end up going where most thought he would, which was Miami. And I think that's kind of a good scenario. They've been looking for a franchise quarterback for, a while now. And it seems that they have their guy, barring that Tua is healthy and, that he can compete and be productive right away. But I think he's got offense around him. They tried to bolster, their O line like that. So, I think Tua to Miami is a good situation for him.
Yeah, I thought that was a good situation for him as well. And then the quarterback right after him was Justin Herbert. He obviously went to the Chargers. And I guess we were debating this last week. We kind of figured whoever the Dolphins took, the Chargers would take the other guy right after.
Yeah.
I feel like this would be a good fit for Herbert and the Chargers in general. I mean, he gets to sit behind Tyrod Taylor. The verdict is still out there if he even has to sit behind him. But I mean, I could probably see him starting by the end of the year for sure. And then in general, he has a lot of weapons on that team too. Like you got Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, Mike Williams, and Hunter Henry. So he's not just like thrown into like a bad situation.
It's getting in a nice core there.
Yeah.
Jack, if you wanted to maybe talk about the next quarterback here.
Yeah, this one's all you, Jack.
Yeah. You could go you before me, and then I'll hit the next one. But
yeah, that's probably fair. I think this was maybe the biggest surprise to most in the draft, and that was Jordan Love being the fourth quarterback selected to the Green Bay Packers. So obviously, the Packers are preparing for the end of Rodgers' contract and to eventually move on from him, which I think is a big thing to happen in this draft. He definitely puts a time onto Aaron Rodgers' remaining career in Green Bay. So it's definitely an interesting pick. One, because the Packers were one win away from the Super Bowl this year, and instead of focusing on their team right now, they went for a future selection. So there's a lot of controversy around this pick, and I'll kind of go into my thoughts about that later. But Jordan ended up falling to the Packers, and they even traded up to get him. So so another surprise, as well as Jordan Love, was who the Eagles picked, and I believe he was the next quarterback taken. So I'll let you take that one away.
Kind of leads right into that. So, like, I'm an Eagles fan, obviously. If you're just watching this, I'm an Eagles fan. But
full champ shirt.
The Jalen Hurts pick. At first, it really shocked me. I didn't think with the receiving talent that was on the board, Denzel Mims specifically. I thought maybe they would go there. I was hearing that if it wasn't Hurts, it was going to be Dobbins or a safety that I kind of forget the name of right off the top of my head here. Realistically, though, I don't hate the pick. I think if it were any other quarterback, I wouldn't like it as much. But the fact that he's Jalen Hurts and he's a guy similar to an RG3 that can just kind of make those running plays, it takes a lot of load off Carson Wentz if like in blowout games and stuff like that, just where you can kind of get him off the field and get Jalen Hurts playing. I know that they're thinking of installing some like package plays similar to what Sean Payton does in New Orleans. But yeah, I don't know. I don't hate the play pick. I think Howie said that he wanted the Eagles to be a QB factory. So it's sort of like when you look at the NFL in general, the quarterback is by far the most important position. The Eagles had a need to get a backup in like Nate Sudfeld. He's obviously there for I think like $2 or $3 million, and then with Josh McCown leaving, it kind of left them a hole. So the fact that you can get a player that can come in, be dynamic on the field when he gets on the field, like you never know with a play caller like Doug Peterson what he could like what you're really going to get to see on a Sunday. So I think it's an interesting pick. I don't know. How about you guys? What do you guys think of that? I don't know.
I just think it's hard to justify spending like a second round pick on either a backup quarterback or for a guy you have to like have package plays for. So like, what's the best case scenario for Hurts right away? He gets like 3, 4, 5 plays a game. Is that really worth a second round pick on?
I think the thought was that you pay him a rookie QB salary. You're not getting him in the first, so you don't have to pay that big price tag right up front. Maybe he doesn't play much. Like if he doesn't play much at all, if he were to be a receiver that they weren't sure about, maybe they weren't sold on Denzel Mims. I don't think they need a running back. I like the backup QB pick almost more than the backup running back pick, just based off the value that you would get if you eventually do trade him. So it really is the only position, maybe lineman, you could say, that like if they don't play, it doesn't destroy their value, especially a guy who can come in and make a few plays and kind of just boost his stock by being that backup quarterback. I don't know. I think that eventually, like from what they've got from like Sam Bradford, I think they got like a first and a fourth for a guy like that. I think they know the value that even if you do have this backup, it's now more than ever with teams trying to chase the Lamar Jackson effect. Jalen Hurts isn't the worst pick there. I don't know. That's just my like rationalization of that. But
yeah. So I guess like for me, like when I see a pick like Jordan Love, like to me, even though it kind of sucks because you don't want to see Aaron Rodgers go, you don't want to give up on a Hall of Fame quarterback, like when he's still like got some prime years left in him. I think a pick like that kind of makes a little bit more sense. But I think with Jalen Hurts, I don't know, like why pick somebody in the second round who you don't exactly plan on ever starting?
Well, like he was just better at quarterback, right? So who knows?
Yeah, they needed like a backup quarterback was a need, and if they signed a guy, maybe they wanted the guy that gets signed wants to come in for $8 million, right? That's $7 million you don't have to spend in free agency. You're probably not going to get as well of a return on your investment with a guy like that, especially. He'll probably, if they do a 2-year contract, he walks after the first year, you get like a fourth compensatory pick or whatever. I don't know. Jalen Hurts, and who knows? Like, what if Jalen Hurts shows out? Like, there's a chance he could show out in practice and be this insane quarterback. I don't see it. I don't think you can beat out Carson Wentz, but I think 3 or 4 years down the line, they could probably get at least a first-round pick for it. And I think it was a luxury pick here. They didn't need that many positions, and they did a good job at addressing what they did need later on in the draft. It is hard to say. I think it's just like the organization pick. It wasn't like a winning pick. It was just no matter what, it'll keep your organization afloat. If anything were to happen to Wentz again, like, I don't know. And they were going to build a good team to where a backup receiver or quarterback would be able to step in and probably deliver for the most part.
Yeah, I guess if you look at it in that respect, it is probably important to have a backup quarterback who knows the system well and can step in and, produce in the playoffs if he needs to, if your starter goes down, something like that. Yeah, it's just I think it's a polarizing pick though. Like to we're back in the second when you don't need him and you don't plan to start him. And if you want to use him like Taysom Hill, you can do that. But Taysom Hill was undrafted, and found his way
exactly.
to squads. So
How many Taysom Hills are there?
I think he's more of an early Lamar Jackson, sort of like not accurate passer. I think Lamar Jackson is a much better athlete than he is, but there's no doubt about it that Hurts is one of the top end athletes in the quarterback position just on the ground alone, right?
No doubt.
If they can trade him at the end of all this, then yeah, I'd say it's worth it. But then I don't know.
I think they look at him more of an early Lamar Jackson just by that they were putting him on the field more than Taysom Hill in run or quarterback snaps. I don't like that you'd have to take Wentz off the field. And I agree. It is very polarizing pick here. It is kind of early to say, but I don't hate it just as a value standpoint for them. I don't know.